welcome to another episode of Gangster Profiles. So today we have our very first special guest, Louis Fasanaro. Welcome, Louis, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me on.
So for those of you that don't know Louis, he has appeared in a plethora of different movies and TV shows, including Dark Knight Rises, Shameless, CSI New York. My personal favorite role is Louis in Gangster Land, when he portrayed one of the murder twins, Albert Anselmi, of the Chicago outfit under Al Capone. And if I'm not mistaken, Louis, you're from Little Italy in Harlem, New York City. Is that correct?
Yes, Italian East Harlem on 116th Street, home of the 116th Street crew.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, as you obviously know, that is an area with deep Italian roots and a heavy mob presence for like over 100 years, from the first crime family, Morelli family, all the way up to Vincent the Chin Gigante, and beyond, many other guys in between, of course, Tony Ducks, Fat Tony, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to just know, what was it like growing up there, and how did it mold you into the person that you are today?
Well, it was my normal, and I hadn't experienced anything else growing up. And so, I really enjoyed it. I was a street kid, and, we played all the street games. I went to Catholic school,
Mm.
and the wise guys were all around the neighborhood. There was a social club in my building, and there were probably three or four social clubs on my block alone. So the environment was very interesting, and everyone was really nice. Well, everyone. There weren't any people on the block that, or even in the neighborhood, that weren't nice. Everybody looked out for each other. It was a good place to grow up. I think, in a way, it was a wholesome atmosphere.
Interesting. And it was a place where I'm sure you felt safe growing up, as I've heard a lot of other, Italian people from that area, you know, it has the bad rep sometimes of all the mob's there. But I'm pretty sure, people felt pretty safe in the mob's heyday there.
Everybody did. In fact, there was one of the most frequently made comments that the neighborhood was very safe,
Mm.
and everybody did, in fact, feel safe and secure there. And there were always the social clubs were like little police stations, and in fact, the cops were there as well.
Mm.
And like I said, there was a social club in our building, which was like it was like having a police station. The it made the building feel. I grew up in a 3-story brownstone, so it was a good building to begin with, and it was a block that was filled with brownstones, and it felt very secure. I remember the women, all of the women at that time. They used to say they felt very safe, walking from the subway to their houses because of all of the social clubs and just the nature of the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I've heard stories that, like you said, the women, they felt very safe. I've heard stories like they prefer walking on the side of the street where all the wise guys are, as opposed to the other side, because they know they're protected there. So interesting
That
tidbit.
that's in fact true, and in fact, I'll tell you a story. There was a sister years later, uh, as the neighborhood, as many of the Italians started to move out. A nun was raped, and
Okay.
apparently the one of the families, they put a contract out on the person that
Mm.
committed the rape, and the rapists turned themselves into the police.
Uh, that's a great story. Obviously, not not rape is not a great thing, but that's pretty fascinating. Um, so let's talk about you and acting. Like I said before, you've had many acting roles throughout your life. So, what made you, want to act, and how did that career start?
Well, I think it started from mimicking the wise guys on the street
Mm.
and watching the old movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
right.
George Raft and Edward G. Robinson,
Yep,
Jimmy
yep. Okay.
Cagney, Bogart. It was just
Right,
all of the
right.
crime shows. I always watched all the police shows and all the crime shows and all the mob movies.
Mm. Yeah, those are great, you know,
And then later, The
movies.
Godfather and all the Scorsese movies, The
Of course,
Irishman,
right. Oh
of
yeah,
course,
that's great.
lately,
Yeah,
which I thought was a great, phenomenal movie,
I
The
was going to ask
Irishman.
you what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it seems very plausible, and it's so well done that you
Yeah.
truly believe it, and so well acted.
Oh
I
yeah, it's a
saw it
great
eight
movie.
times, and it held up
Mm.
for all eight. I went eight different performances through the Screen Actors Guild because they always have
Oh okay.
screenings for SAG members because we're voters. We
Right.
vote for the SAG awards, and
Mm,
I
okay.
went
Right.
eight different times because the movie was so good.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed that movie. I heard some people say they didn't like it, but I mean, it's so well done, like you said. Um, and I've heard you say, you've kind of alluded to this already, but I've heard you say, as long as you can remember, you've always wanted to play a gangster.
That's
So I know,
actually true.
so I know that, your upbringing influenced that a lot, but do you have any more say on why you wanted to, always play a gangster?
It just always seemed like the thing to do. It just seemed like the most interesting thing to do. I always enjoyed acting, and it actually took me a while to get into it because I was working behind the scenes for quite a while, and I always wanted to get into acting. So at a certain point, I moved out to California. I started taking acting class, and from there, it all worked out. In fact, my acting teacher kept trying to get me to do all kinds of different things, and I started writing my own monologues. And I'm in the
Okay.
process of writing something I call the Moonlight Boys. So it's just accelerated. I told them I think that if they're going to hire me to play anything, they're going to hire me to play a New York character, which is more than likely a cop or a wise guy.
Right, right. Oh, that would be really cool. So I'm excited about that. So tell us a little bit more about Moonlight Boys.
The Moonlight Boys, it's a reflection of some things that I've seen and some things that I've heard. And I'll say this: it's probably going to be 90% fictional. You know what I mean? And it's
Mm,
stories I've heard from my uncles growing up, things I've seen on the street, and it's somewhat autobiographical, but just loosely based on my autobiography and the biography of some of my relatives. But
okay.
it's largely a work of fiction based on ideas and some ideas I've had and some situations that I've seen, and also some things I've read about. So
Okay.
the it's just it's just my interest, and I think in seeing all of the mob movies, I'm influenced by that, especially the Scorsese movies and the Coppola movies, and you know they're
Right.
uh, they're all really really good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. Those are, the best movies of all time, in my opinion. Um, and, you know, the influence of your upbringing definitely shows, on this big screen, you've shown the ability to play, very realistic, prototypical classic Italian gangster. Um, Specifically in your role as Albert Anselmi in Gangster Land. And for those of you who don't know, Albert Anselmi was one of the murder twins for Al Capone and the Chicago outfit, vicious murderer in real life. So how did you get this role? How did you prepare for it?
I basically just read up on Alberto Anselmi and the Chicago and Al Capone and his gang, and I worked it from there, and then just used my my experiences from the city to develop my own character from the people I've seen on the street, similar to the kid in A Bronx Tale who's a young boy on the street. See,
Right, right, of
and
course, yeah. Calogero.
he sees the underworld guys, and he's kind of mimicking them. So I think we all did that as kids. So I think it was kind of easy to fall into.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. And the Bronx Tale is a classic movie. If anybody hasn't watched that movie yet, really should check it out. Chad,
Absolutely,
yeah, Chad,
absolutely.
Chaz Palminteri does a great job in that movie. And I gotta ask you, do you know any like of those guys, Chaz Palminteri or anybody else who's trying to go from the life to the big screen, or you know, portrays it like they do?
You know what? I have never met Chaz Palminteri, but the working with Milo Gibson, who's a really nice
Mm,
guy. I thought he did a really great job playing Al Capone, and you know, and he's just a really special kind of guy and a really nice guy, and everyone in that movie was really nice. Sean Farris. So those guys are, kind of who I was interested in at that time,
okay, right.
following what they were doing.
Yeah, those are great role models for what you're trying to do. Um, so I looked into you a little bit, and I got to ask you about two specific things that you did, two specific roles that you portrayed. The first one I want to ask you about is the Capone teaser. I know that's on YouTube. I just wanted to ask you about that. You know, how did you get into that? Uh, did you did you prepare much for that? I mean, I know you embody the gangster, like I said before, so it comes pretty natural to you. But talk on that a little bit.
Well, if a friend of mine wrote to me emailed me and said that there's this character of Al Capone, and you should apply for it. So I self submitted for it, and it's a young Italian director, Giovanni Tartaglia,
Right, right.
and I sent some photos in, and he liked the photos. He asked me to do a video, and I just, I basically tried to be as true to the character of Capone as I could see him being, and so that's what I worked with. And Giovanni liked it, and he hired me to do what he hired me to play the character, and we just all we shot was so far was a 6 minute teaser. So he's looking to get funding for that. So
Okay.
that's what's going on with that.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I'll be looking forward to that. Definitely gonna look out for that. Um, and I wanted to ask you about your video with J Lo, Jennifer Lopez, before her tour a few years ago, or was that in 2019? Right.
It was
Um,
just last. It was the last summer. I
okay.
self submitted. I was looking at L.A. casting, and I saw that they were looking for uh, a prohibition type gangster. So I
Right.
submitted. I sent some photos in, and subsequently I sent some videos, and the producer liked them, and she hired me.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I think you did a great job
Thank
in
you.
that.
Appreciate it.
Um, yeah, you were Gangster Joey, right?
Yes, and it was a really well made. She spent a lot of cash on it,
I was gonna
and
ask you
all of her,
what. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
all of her. Well, she did a bunch of videos for her tour, and that
Right.
was one of the videos. In fact, that video, I believe it was Variety said it was the best of all the videos and the most stylized, and they gave it they gave it high grades.
Right. I could imagine it's a little hard to you know, stay focused working with someone as beautiful as J Lo. I'll leave it at that. But what was it like working with her?
Well, she was very very nice. I walked into the studio, she came in, and she introduced herself, and I introduced myself, and we went from there. And there was a basic script, and uh, she actually changed the script as we were shooting it, and we did it a few times, and it worked out very well, and they were pleased with it. And then they used it on the tour, so it was
Yeah. And
shown every night in every tour location, every tour venue.
okay. Yeah, I thought you two coexisted very well in that. Um, it was cool little clip. I definitely think that. Um, so I wanted to ask you too. Have you played any other gangster roles other than the few we've discussed? Or
I've wherever I can. You know what I mean?
right.
The I offhand I can't think of any that that I participated in. That was Gangster Land was the Capone and the Gangster Land were sort of my first two
Mm,
gangster gangster parts. Although I was always doing videos playing a gangster.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because I wanted to ask you another thing about, your gangster roles. I believe I saw that you played early in your career in a play called Mott Street.
Oh, the Mott Street Mafia. The Mott Street Mafia was a friend of mine's relative was going to NYU. That was an NYU film school project. I worked on
Okay,
three projects for the same individual, and one of them that he shot was called the Mott Street Mafia, where we played gangsters doing little holdups and stuff like that in the street.
yeah, okay, that's
And that was it.
interesting.
That's when I was a student, and
Okay, that's what that
I was
was.
a student at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and
Oh, really?
I
Okay,
had a connection. I had someone that was at the NYU Film School,
that
and I
was
had a really enjoyable time doing that. Also,
okay. That was FDU TNEC, right?
I was a student at FDU TNEC, and the person that directed that project was a student at NYU Film School.
Okay, cool. I'm actually pretty familiar with that area. I'm in New Jersey myself. Um, I love
Where in
the.
Jersey?
I'm in North Jersey, Morris County.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yep.
I used to live in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and
Oh, of
Hoboken.
course, right. Oh, okay,
Hoboken's a
yeah,
cool town too. There was a lot of social clubs in Hoboken all around the town.
yeah. I've heard about that area and the mob presence there, but I got to research a little bit more on it. But back to you at FDU, I just had to throw it out there that I love the Brooklyn Brick Oven Pizza right there across the street. I don't know if you've ever been. That's one of my favorite places.
In in in
It's right
which
across the street from FDU. It's
oh
Brick Oven Pizza.
that's probably I haven't seen that. That's probably something that's new to me. Which
Okay, I
campus
don't.
is that? Which campus are you talking?
It's FDU TNEC right across from the basketball arena. I forget what it's called. It's right across the street from the parking lot of that building of the basketball arena.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't been over there.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
been a
was
while.
just.
I've been on the West Coast for the last 11 years,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm not sure where that is. But
Uh,
I enjoyed Fairleigh Dickinson and the town, Teaneck, New Jersey, and the whole environment. I always enjoyed the whole New York, New Jersey environment,
yeah,
the whole
it's
tri-state area.
no other place like it, and only people
There
like
really
us can
isn't.
understand from over here.
And Los Angeles is kind of spread out, and it's got the beautiful weather, but it doesn't really have the cachet, the whole New York thing.
Right. It's two different
There's nothing
worlds.
like it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And they try to uh, replicate that culture in a lot of places across the country, but from pizzerias and restaurants and just other types of things, but not. It's not really replicable. Um, so let's get back to your acting. I wanted to see if there was anything else we should, currently be looking out for in the future besides Moonlight Boys.
Right now, no, but I'm just focusing on the Moonlight Boys, and I'm using a little bit of this downtime, to
Mm,
do some research and do some writing. I've written a bunch of scenes, and the ones I've written I really like, and I've put some of them up on Facebook, and the people that have my friends and who've seen them really enjoy them, and they say they're pretty good. So it's we'll see what happens in the future with that. But that's what I'm looking at for the my own personal project. You know what I mean? Right now,
right.
with the business is kind of dead, and there's not much going on because of the whole pandemic. So I'm working on my
Right.
own individual project.
And how have you been coping through this whole pandemic? I know everywhere is different. I'm sure it's a little different, where I am compared to where you've been.
Well, like I said, LA is a little bit quiet, and the pandemic has made it even more quiet. And I just
Mm,
been going with the flow. You know,
yeah, that's all we can do, right?
yeah, that's all we can do, and we hope for the best. And we're hoping things improve, and hopefully everyone will do the right thing and stay stay within their own little atmospheres, and little by little the pandemic will go away.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to just take some time and people acting smart collectively.
Yes, until there's a uh, a shot for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, vaccine. Right.
A vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to also ask you here. Did you hear about the new mob drama series that there's no official release date yet, but Showtime apparently is going to produce a new mob drama with Brian Grazer, Terrence Winter, and Nicholas Pileggi. Um, that's a
Oh, that
legendary
should be
crew right
pretty good.
there.
I
Yeah.
haven't heard about that. I was just watching Fierce City last night. It's a documentary on how they took down
Hmm.
the five family bosses in New York City in the 70s.
Yep, I actually just finished that too on Netflix. It's very good. Another recommendation for our listeners.
Although
Um,
I like to see the ones I like to see projects where the mob is more in control and more the winner.
I was gonna say, yeah, there was a little bit too much of an FBI point of view for me in that. I wanted a little bit more juicy mob stories in there, but it was a
Well,
lot more.
one of the good things is they made a big point that they took down Fat Tony Salerno,
Yep,
but Fat Tony Salerno was only the front boss, and Vinny the
for the
Chin
chin, right?
was the actual boss. So at that point in time, they didn't get Vinny the Chin, and the Genovese
Yeah,
family,
right.
I believe, is the largest and strongest crime family. I think they had at least 1,000 members on the street plus associates at that time.
Yep. A lot of people say them and the Gambinos were probably the two big ones, right?
Well, I think the Gambinos had about 350, I think, made members on the street. They became a little bit more noteworthy at the time because John Gotti became such a popular figure.
Yes, yes,
But the
right,
Genovese guys always had a low key presence,
right.
and I
As
think
with
that was
a
always
lot
their
of the other
forte.
families, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and from Italian Harlem, the Lucchese family was from Italian Harlem also, in the Renegade
Right,
Criminal
right,
Gang.
right,
And
right, right.
they all were basically bounced off from the Morello crime family.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Morellos.
the new drama that I was just telling you about from Showtime with Terrence Winter and Nick Pileggi is actually apparently going to be based on the Morello crime family. If I
Well,
read what I
the
read
Morellos
correctly.
really the Morellos really set the pace. I believe Lucky Luciano and Frank Costello were early members in their early days were members of the Morello family.
Yeah, I believe
So
after
and
they
they
left the 5 Points gang, I think
right
they.
and they were shrewdly the Morellos shrewdly tried to they unified the gangs of New York after a certain point where they committed whatever they had to do, whatever violent acts they did
Right.
to unify the system. And they basically after that they took the the idea that it's better if we get along and we don't fight and we don't draw attention to ourselves. And that's exactly where Lucky Luciano learned that and formed the commission when he had the
Right,
opportunity.
right. And 31, right, after the Castellammarese War when they got rid of Joe the Boss Mazzaria and Salvatore
Right,
Maranzano, of course.
right.
And um I've read that Morello, Peter Morello, I believe his name was the boss of bosses, um, actually ahead of Joe Mazzaria and Salvatore Maranzano. I'm not sure if that's true, but I've seen uh, crime family charts, and I've seen him at the top with Mazzaria and Maranzano right below him. And I believe Morello he used black hand extortion along with the rest of his crime family and notorious Ignacio the Wolf Lupo. So I'm
I
hoping
believe that was his stepbrother. They were
that
that
was his
were
stepbrother, right?
yeah. It was just one extended family, but the
Right. They
that's
married into
how
each other's family and everything,
right
right?
right and
Yes.
well, that's how they started. They started with all the black hand techniques, writing letters and extorting businesses, that sort of thing.
Right, right. Yeah, so that should be very well portrayed in this new series coming out. I'm really excited about that. Um, but yeah, so
It should be good.
yeah, no, I'm really excited for it. Hopefully we get a release date about that soon. But so yeah, other than the Moonlight Boys, nothing really coming up to look out for you.
No, right now that's all there is. And
Okay.
hopefully after the pandemic, there'll be other things to do.
Right. Yeah, hopefully.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I hope for the best with that, and definitely looking out for Moonlight Boys and everything else
And
in your
hopefully the
acting
Capone thing
future.
will happen at some point. I think Giovanni's still interested in that or doing other projects. He's made a bunch of short films and he's done very well. And one of them was an award winning film. So I think he has a lot of potential and we should see some big things from him in the future.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that too. Seeing you play Al Capone, I mean that's going to be classic stuff there. I really think so.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, as you should be, because not too many good Capone movies or shows out there. Um,
That's true.
um, so yeah, I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. But again, really excited for Moonlight Boys and the future of your acting career. Want to thank you again. Really appreciate you for coming on.
Oh,
And
and we appreciate you having us on.
Louis Fasanaro, stand-up guy, as they might say in the business. I had a really good time talking to him tonight. Has a really cool mind and stories to go with it. Uh, we want to thank him again for his time. Talk to him a little bit off air. Really cool dude. Even better person than he is an actor and a gangster actor specifically. Definitely check him out. He's Albert Anselmi in Gangster Land. I'm pretty sure it's free on Tubi. So definitely check that out. Thanks again, Louis, for coming on.